Dambrot.
Well, I think first off, hats off to Shaka. You really got him ready to play. Obviously, he knew what we were dealing with and came right at us. And he knew our weaknesses. But the thing I'm most proud of is we hit adversity after adversity after adversity all season long. And I would challenge most teams around the country didn't hit the haymakers that we hit. It started with Quincy Diggs. We lost him at the beginning of the year, the sixth man of the year. Then we lost to Treadwell and Harney to suspensions, compliance error early in the season. Then Chauncey Gilliam tore his meniscus. Then Brian Walsh sprains his ankle, missed a couple games. And then obviously the Abreu thing. And then we come tonight and we got D.G. Ibatayu, can't play with a bad back. We got Brian Walsh, who had to be rushed to the emergency room last night, and Pat Forsythe, who can't play. So all of a sudden we go from playing 11 guys over 10 minutes a game to having really a depleted team. So unfortunately, they're too good to be able to handle that. You give Carmelo Betancourt a lot of credit. We put him in a tough position. He probably would have played 5-6 minutes in a game like that. And then Harney would have never played at the point. So it's just a tough draw for us. And they're good. They're too good. And we used so much energy trying to get the ball up the court, we couldn't guard them. So it was just a miserable experience, but there's nothing we can do about it, and it's going to make us better in the future. And, nothing to be embarrassed about. We had a hell of a year, and they're good, and they exploited our weakness better than anybody in the country could.
Thanks, Coach. And questions for the student athletes? Please raise your hand, and Allison or Marie will come around and call on you.
Glad we brought you.
Tree, or Zeke, you can answer this too. When it was 21-9, you guys couldn't seem to, Coach Dambrot kind of preached all week about, forgetting the last mistake and going on. Why couldn't you guys recover at that point?
I wouldn't say we couldn't recover. It was more the fact that we just didn't, I think in the circumstances, didn't know how to do that. We were playing as hard as we could. I honestly believe we played as hard as we could, but we couldn't get the ball. There was times we could turn the ball over. We didn't know what play to run. We were throwing it in. They were, double teaming, or we were losing the ball. Things just wasn't going our way, and it just kept snowballing. But we had to look positive and keep on pushing, and that's what we kept doing.
Demetrius, you guys obviously, watched VCU on film and you played them last year. Your thoughts on that press, now that you've seen it up close tonight?
That might be one of the toughest things in college basketball to face, man. They like bulldogs out there on defense, man. They real tough, and hats off to them, man. They played a great game.
Could either one of you guys, Marla right now from Akron again, could you, either one of you just comment on the adversity that never seemed to stop, and then you got a couple sick guys? Was it, how tough was all this?
Well, I can't sit here and act like and know how tough it is. It is tough, but we had, as I said before, we had a goal that we wanted to win, and we had to find some way to do it. It just didn't work out tonight, but despite all the adversity we hit, we have to find a way to push forward. We just couldn't do it tonight.
George Thomas from the Akron Deacon Journal. Is that the fastest team you guys have seen all year?
Yeah, I believe that's the fastest, just at every position. They big, strong, skilled, fast, everything, man. They got a pretty balanced team.
Zach Holden with the Commonwealth Times. Zeke, what was so difficult about guarding Javonte Reddick tonight?
Well, it was more the fact that I was trying to get our team going by first they were making shots. Then, when I tried to help, they would, he would run the floor hard. As coach said to us in the locker room, we got our legs taken out trying to get the ball up the floor. And he's willing to run that floor, so he was getting layups. I was helping, he was getting layups. It was just more of, the game, honestly. He might have got his points, but, I just felt like we could try to play collective defensively. So even though you guys points, we could stop everybody else. So even if you had 16, we could stop everyone else. We would still be able to come out for a win.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Coach Dambrot is now available for questions.
I'm sure you weren't looking for sympathy, but it didn't seem like your friend showed any mercy there, up 40 with the starters, full court press, and doing his thing.
He got a job to do. I mean, his job is to get him ready to win the next game, so I don't take any offense to it. I mean, he did what he had to do. Our misfortune was his gain, so, I mean, this is a big boys game. You got to put your pants on, take your butt whipping sometimes. Won't be the last.
Make sure you give your name and affiliation when you have a question, please.
Elton Alexander, Cleveland Plain Dealer. There was a sense, you guys really had a sense of we can do this coming in. And I know all the adversity, but a lot of the adversity was already there. Just kind of talk about maybe that. Did you I think you used the word yesterday, misanalyze. You thought some folks have misanalyzed. Just where does that stand now that the game's over?
I think every game's a mutually exclusive event. They had a good night. We weren't very good. I watched the tape 3 times from last year, and if you'd watch that tape, you'd say the Zips could play with Virginia Commonwealth easily. I mean, we just didn't have a very good night. And, as much as we struggled in the full court, we struggled more in the half court. We couldn't get into anything, really. And I think finally at that point, you got to be able to drive the ball. They're like playing Duke. If you don't drive it on them, you can't score it on them. And we really don't have those capabilities with the people we had out there. So it was unfair. Listen, we put our kids in an unfair position, really, right? So normally, under normal circumstances, Betancourt probably plays 5 minutes in that game. So he's your primary ball handler, and Harney's never played point guard in his career at our place. So, I'm not disappointed. I mean, obviously you're not happy to get beat up, but they went for it. We struggled. They continued to. We cut it back one time, and then we fell apart again. And we went down in for about a 3-minute stretch and cut it back down to about 11, and then we didn't guard again. And they're too athletic to give up baskets as easily as we did, really. So did I misanalyze it? Hey, look, my job's to think we're good. I mean, if any athlete, any coach that does not think your team is good, they shouldn't be sitting up here. So we've overcome it all year long, so I had no reason to think we wouldn't overcome it again tonight.
Zach Holden, the Commonwealth Times. Can you talk about Walsh and Forsyth's willingness to play even though they were sick?
Typical, those guys are winning guys. They wanted to try to give it a go. Walsh had a miserable night. He didn't go to sleep till 7 in the morning. And Forsyth and him are roommates, so he got sick about, I think, 8 or 9 in the morning. So, and then Ibatayu couldn't play either with the bad back. So all of a sudden, we're just a little snake bit, I guess. I mean, but it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, we didn't handle the ball well enough to offset that. You know what I mean? You have to handle the ball against them, and you got to be able to break them down a little bit, which we really couldn't do. So then our big people became a non-factor, really.
Marla Ridenour, again, you said you put your kids in an unfair position, but you didn't really do that yourself.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You got to figure out a way to win, And so the circumstances put him in an unfair position, evidently. So, you know, if we played a Wisconsin or somebody like that that doesn't force tempo, that doesn't force pressure, then we probably have a much better chance in retrospect to be able to compete. You know, I just think they got at us and got at us and got at us, and they acted like Shaka, you know, and flexed their muscles and came at us again and again and again and again and never let up and never let us get off the mat, really. But the good thing about it is it's a good life lesson for everybody. You know, you can be on top on one day, and the next day, because of circumstances, you can get smacked in the mouth, and you better figure out how to pick yourself up. So from that perspective, our program will recover and be better than ever, right? We'll come roaring back like we always have, and hopefully we won't have as many circumstances the next time we get here.